night I finally admitted the silence had become louder than my own heartbeat, everything changed. The house looked perfect from the outside, warm light spilling from the windows, the kind of picture neighbors envy. But inside, it felt hollow, like a shell of a life that used to be mine. That night, sitting on the living room couch beneath the weak glow of a single lamp, I realized comfort doesn't always mean connection. Daniel was away again. Another business trip added to the endless string of flights and meetings. He had mastered the art of chasing promotions while I had become the expert in pretending everything was fine. The magazines on the coffee table, the polished silver frames, the carefully chosen furniture, none of it kept me from feeling invisible. I reached for the remote, letting the TV fill the room with meaningless chatter. But it wasn't enough. The silence pressed against my chest, heavy and unyielding. That's when Leo padded softly across the floor, his golden fur catching the dim light. He rested his head gently on my lap, those calm eyes looking up at me as if he could see through the layers I'd been hiding behind. I whispered, "What would I even do without you?" Leo thumped his tail once, steady and sure. That small gesture cracked something open in me, not into tears, but into presence. For months, I had been moving through life in a daze, smiling at brunches, scrolling through endless feeds, cleaning spotless counters, pretending productivity was purpose. But here, with his quiet weight on my lap, I felt myself breathe again. My hand found its way to his fur, tracing familiar patterns down his back. He didn't demand anything. He didn't try to fix me. He simply stayed. And in his stillness, I remembered the woman I used to be before the numbness set in. Leo had been with us since he was a floppy-eared pup who couldn't climb the stairs. He had grown into a constant, a silent witness to the cracks I tried to ignore. Holidays spent alone, dinners for one, weekends where Daniel's absence was explained away with important meetings. Leo never asked questions. He simply curled beside me, his steady breath reminding me I wasn't completely alone. That night, I found myself whispering again, softer this time. "You always know, don't you?" Leo blinked slowly, his eyes steady, almost human. The weight of that gaze made me feel both fragile and whole. I poured myself a glass of wine but never touched it. Instead, I sat with him, letting the silence shift from suffocating to sacred. The next morning, something strange happened. Leo came in from the backyard, carrying an old leather-bound notebook, its edges cracked, its cover scarred by time. He laid it at my feet like an offering. Curious, I opened it. Inside were pages filled with fading ink, messy lines of poetry, fragments of dreams, and confessions that mirrored the ache in my own heart. The words spoke of emptiness wrapped in comfort, of chasing stability while losing pieces of the soul, of longing for something more. I turned the pages with trembling fingers, whispering to Leo, "You always bring me back to what matters." He tilted his head, watching me as if he understood every word. I clutched that notebook to my chest, unsure who had written it, but certain it had found me for a reason. Later that day, I carried the notebook to the park, a place Leo and I had walked countless times. The air was crisp, the sky open, laughter floating from the playground nearby. But as I sat under a tree, notebook in hand, I felt different, like the world had shifted slightly, waiting for me to notice. I traced the cracks in the leather cover and whispered into the breeze, "I think I forgot how to live." Leo's ears perked instantly, his gaze fixed on me, unblinking, steady. And in that moment, I heard the echo of a question forming in the silence between us. "Then what's stopping? You?" The thought hit me so sharply I froze, the notebook still open on my lap. I couldn't shake that question from my mind. "Then what's stopping you?" It lingered like a whisper, following me back home, echoing with each step. The notebook sat on the table, its faded ink calling me to remember pieces of myself I had long abandoned. I stared at it, wine glass still, untouched, and felt a quiet resolve begin to stir. Daniel's voice was still absent from the house, replaced by his calendar reminders and after-hours emails. But Leo was there, curled by my feet, steady as ever. I looked at him and murmured, "Maybe you're the best therapist I never paid for." His tail thumped once, the kind of acknowledgement that carried more weight than words. I opened a blank notebook of my own, not for work, not for anyone else, but for me, and as the pen touched paper, the flood began. Words I had swallowed for years spilled out. Frustrations, small regrets, hidden dreams. Pages filled with memories I'd buried under routines and polished smiles. By the time I set the pen down, I felt lighter, as if I'd been carrying a weight I hadn't even named. That evening, stirring dinner absent-mindedly, I caught myself saying out loud, I always wanted to travel, not as someone's +1, not just tagging along. I wanted to taste food I couldn't pronounce, get lost in streets without maps, and find places that felt like mine. Leo tilted his head, watching me with those unwavering eyes. His look felt like permission, like a reminder that I didn't have to keep waiting for someone else to give me a life. I paused, spoon still in hand, and whispered, "Then what is stopping me?" The next morning on our walk, something caught my eye. A flyer taped to the bookstore window. Creative Writing Workshop. Find your voice. My heart fluttered, small, but undeniable, like the first spark of a long-forgotten flame. It wasn't Paris. It wasn't Santorini. But it was a beginning. I stood frozen, staring at the flyer, until Leo tugged gently on the leash, as if to say, "Well, are you going to take it?" That night, I marked the date in my planner, not in ink, but in pencil, a quiet promise to myself. As the sun set, painting the sky in deep purples and warm oranges, I sat by the window with Leo beside me. I whispered, "Maybe this is the start of something new." He nudged his head against my hand, a silent affirmation. But beginnings are fragile. The next morning, Daniel called from yet another airport lounge, his voice brisk, distracted. "How are things at home?" I hesitated, fingers brushing the edge of the notebook. For the first time, I didn't give the usual, "Everything's fine." Instead, I said softly, "I think I'm starting something for myself." There was a pause on the line, the hum of voices and announcements in the background. "That's good," he said, almost absent-mindedly, before launching into a story about delayed flights. His words washed over me, distant, but I no longer felt the need to anchor myself in them. Later, with Leo curled against me, I whispered, "Maybe it doesn't matter if he notices right now. Maybe what matters is that I do." Healing, I realized, isn't a thunderclap. It's a quiet shift, a decision made in whispers, a step taken when no one's watching. It's the way your breath slows, not because you're tired, but because you've stopped running from yourself. Leo shifted in his sleep, his warmth grounding me. I pressed the notebook to my chest, the old one and the new one side by side. One filled with echoes of a past ache, the other ready to hold the story I hadn't dared to write yet. And as the night deepened, a thought rose inside me, sharp and insistent, impossible to ignore. What if this wasn't just the start of something small? What if this was the moment everything changed? I closed my eyes, the weight of that question settling deep inside me. If this story stirred something, in you, let it be a gentle reminder. Your beginning doesn't need permission. Sometimes it only takes one quiet step. Maybe this is your moment too.